Hi everyone and welcome back. Oh my gosh, it is gorgeous out here. I just stepped out to do something and I just decided on the spur of the moment to do a garden tour because all the plants are starting to come out and it's starting to look gorgeous. So we are on the first day of spring as of today. So this will be your first garden tour as far as the front yard and the side yard. So I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, let's get started. Now you may hear traffic going by and airplanes going in because this is that time of the evening. But more importantly, I hope that you guys can see everything and it's not too dark. So anyway, that being said, let's get started. So I'm gonna toggle between these two, but I'm gonna go ahead and start from here. And you may notice some things that are missing in my garden. If you notice those things, put them down in the comments below. But I have removed a few items out of my garden. I still have a lot more to remove because if you've been following my channel, you know that I am selling my home and therefore I am taking the things that are in my garden. If I could take all my plants, I would absolutely do that because I think I love each and every one of them. But there are some that I treasure and some that I would absolutely recommend for any yard. So I'm going to be pointing those out as well. So let's start with this side. Right here I have a hot lip salvia, and this hot lip salvia really got affected by the winter months. I ended up losing a few of my plants because our temperatures really dropped drastically this winter, and some of my plants are not used to that, not in zone 8B. So because of that, it really affected this hot lip salvia. I mean, there's greenery on it. There's greenery coming down, right down at the base of it right here. But overall, it really killed it. So I probably am going to just remove that or really clean it up and see what happens. Right here, I have a hop-like oregano. This one is one that I absolutely love. It's great for hanging baskets. It's also one that you can put in any container and just let it shine because it really, really is a beautiful flower. And this will fill out this whole entire area. They do like a little bit of sun protection, so I would put it in a morning sun, afternoon shade. Then I have my heuchera. I think this is a flambini, and that one, you know, always gets affected by the winter months. You know, it gets a little raggedy, but as you can see, it's coming back and looking great. I have I believe it's a buttercup hosta right here that I put in last year, and it's looking beautiful coming up. In fact, all my hostas for some reason are really popping out of the ground early this year. Then I have some spring lilies right over there that it's coming up. Good to see that coming up. And then, of course, all of my daylilies here are doing fantastic. I mean, my God, they just, look at this. It's the first day of spring and they're already so far in advance out. Yeah. Now, I do have a red valerian right here. I should have probably cut these back. You really should divide your lilies, your daylilies, because they will multiply. I haven't done that in a while. So they're kind of engulfing this red valerian, but it doesn't look like it's affecting it, so I'm going to leave it alone. It'll give it some support anyway. I also had right here a Texaniporium that I ended up losing over the winter months. I had it here for probably 4 years, and last year it just got too cold for it, and so it actually killed it. As you can see, it's right here. So I will be removing that. I had intended to move it out several times anyway, so I don't know, it probably did me a favor. And then right here I have a stone crop. This is an orange stone crop cedium, but it has yellow flowers. I don't know where the orange came in, but this one will withstand any kind of weather. This is a must-have in my opinion because it really can stand freezing rain and ice. As you can see in this picture, it is covered. It's got icicles growing out of it. And yet, look at it. It's big, beautiful, filling out, and just looking fantastic. So, highly would recommend this. The roots on them are very shallow. So, if you want to control it, you can. It's a very slow growing spreader, but at the same time it does spread. It's great for hanging baskets. It's great for rock walls, and you know, and in a corner like this, just to give it some beauty. I absolutely love this. Now the one on this side over here did take a beating, but it's filling out. And then you can see that my Brenras over here, look at how big and gorgeous these are. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe how big and gorgeous these are. And all of my Hanakoa Japanese grass right here is all coming back. Initially I thought, you know, the weather killed it, but clearly they're doing great. And I can't recommend both Brenras and Japanese grass enough. They are a must-have in any yard. And then, of course, Japanese maples, one of my top picks for any yard because they are just so graceful, they're beautiful. Mine is getting all its foliage out. Wish I could take it with me, but it's pretty established, and I think it would be very unhappy if I tried digging it out. So the new owners will absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, and I hope that whoever takes over this garden, that they really appreciate every plant in here, because I think I just love them all, and I can't take them to my new place. And then right here I have my hot lip salvia. This is another one. This one also took a beating, but it is coming back, so I think I may just go ahead and leave this one. I'll just take off all the dead branches off and just let it be, because this is a hummingbird magnet. And in this area, in the springtime, this area gets a lot of sun, but when the trees get all their foliage, then this gets a little bit more shaded. So hot lip salvia in a shaded area won't grow quite as large as if they would be in a very sunny location. So they're very adaptable to any type of conditions, and that's what I love about hot lip salvias. I would highly recommend them as well, not only because they're just beautiful, but because in the right environment, if you have a piece of property, you really don't need to trim it back. You can let it go and let it do its thing, and it'll be fine. I trim mine just because they're in a smaller space, but they don't need to be, unless they have, you know, dead or diseased branches, but that's about it. So I love them for that. My hens and chickens are doing fantastic. They weathered the cold snap, and I think they're pretty tough. So I love them. You don't even have to water them. They'll suck up water from the earth somehow and still survive. Let's see, then I have more daylilies that are doing fantastic back here. I have another Jupiter's beard, red valerian here. And then right over here, I have an anemone. And this one here, I really thought that the cold snap would really kill this, because I thought it was tender. But apparently, it's a pretty hardy plant. So I love it. And I'm glad to see that it's spreading out. And I would say it's a very nice plant for any cottage garden. I would also highly recommend Jupiter's beard for any cottage garden. I would also recommend it for any rural yard. They do seed out, but they're very easy to pull out. Again, the root system isn't very deep on these, and so yeah, they're gonna come up. Right here I have a mums. This mums were in the same original container, this black one that I purchased many years ago, and they state that mums, you know, being in the ground, that they will weather storms, but in a pot they need to be protected or sheltered. I've never had a problem with leaving mine out, and if this survived this very cold snap that we had, it'll survive anything. And again, it's in the same containers. Right here I have another heuchera. This one looks beautiful. I think because it's in a little bit more sheltered area that it really doesn't get bothered by the weather, but definitely looks beautiful. And then right here I have two President Clematis. They have multiplied throughout the years, and this is my pride and joy. And I really thought, and the sun's going to get in the way, but I really thought that this one was going to get affected by the cold snap because I trimmed it really late in spring. I cut it down, and look, it's getting its flowers. Oh my God. And this is a beautiful President Clematis. I mean, I tell you, this is a must-have of all clematises because this is a profuse bloomer. It's a spring bloomer, but it will continue to bloom once you trim it back after the first flush of flowers. You can trim it down about at least a quarter of it down, and then it'll get another flush, and it will climb. I mean, this one in particular gets really long. So yeah, it's been reaching over across this area. So that's it for this part. Let's move on to the other side. In this container, I've been asked many times if I actually have soil in this container, and no, I do not. Actually, I just have like a plant tray that's probably, about an inch in depth, and that's the amount of dirt that I have in there, and then I planted seedlings. And it's been years since I've had that in that position, and every year those seedlings survive, and they're probably very rooted, but it does really well. Now, I used to have 2 of the same type of containers, and I used to add soil in these containers, but I ended up losing one when I moved, so I just decided not to do that anymore. And so this is what I do, and it works perfect. And then it makes it more manageable to move. The one thing that I want to point out about this little section right here is that it's both shade as well as full sun. Now, the reason why I say that is because come around this time of the year, where we're just at the beginning of spring, it kind of gets a lot of sun in this area. It does get some sun protection because of the fence here, but for the most part, it does get quite a bit of sun, and that's why things are coming up from the ground, flowering and doing beautifully. But once the branches up on this Formosa tree comes in, then this part here will get more like what you're seeing right now, where it'll get some shade, but then it'll get some sun and damper lighting throughout the day. So I just wanted to point that out in case you guys were curious. As you can see, I have some daffodils coming up here. I've got my lamium that's looking nice and healthy at this time of the year. This does beautiful. Then the middle of summer into late summer, lamium doesn't like full sun, and it does get a little beat up. Outside of that, it looks beautiful. It does tend to spread, so if you're looking for lamium, just know that it will spread out, but it's the roots are very surface, so it's easy to pull out as well. I do have some lilies back there that have migrated or seeded over in this area from over in that direction. But, you know, I keep them here just because it adds color as well. And then this right here is part of the spiderwort that I had divided into 3 chunks. And this was one place that I put it. And as you can see, it is doing beautifully. This one here is a gorgeous, gorgeous ruby slipper oak leaf hydrangea, and you know, it's coming back. I do need to, you know, remove all of these dead flower heads, but outside of that, it's doing beautiful. Then right over here I have my spot-ons, and those are coming up. They're spring bloomers, and they will fill out a lot more than they are right now. So yeah, they will get pretty big. And spot-ons can, in the right environment, can spread out. I wouldn't say they're invasive to where they take out and choke out other plants, but also will seed out and spread in that form, but not necessarily from the root system. Then right here I have some more lilies, daylilies, that also kind of migrated over here or seeded out over in this direction. I have a rainbow fizz spirea that's got kind of like reddish blooms on it, and it's just gorgeous. I really shouldn't have planted it there because it's really kind of too big for this area, but I trim it back and it looks fine. My dogwood over here, this is a Cherokee dogwood, and is looking beautiful. Now granted, we didn't get a big load of snow, so it didn't put a lot of weight onto the branches. But regardless, we did get ice, and so bracing it up with tying it up really helped this out. And look, it's got all its flower buds coming in. This is a spring bloomer. It's a Cherokee dogwood, if I didn't mention that already, and it's getting its leaves. It's just gonna look gorgeous. I'm so excited over that. Then right here I have a magic blanket. This is a rose bush. It's climber, and it's looking fantastic. Then right here below it, I have a Western Aztec rhododendron. This one will get large, but because it's underneath this rose bush, it stays as a dwarf. I did have it in the sun at one point, and it did not like it. That's why I put it here, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous here. And it blooms these beautiful, kind of a peach in color blooms, and it's absolutely beautiful. Right here I have a dwarf Japanese maple. This one I've had for many, many years. I even had it in a pot prior to even planting it in the ground right here. This was in 2 other homes, and yeah, still a dwarf, and the foliage on it is like this beautiful bronzy kind of reddish color, and it's just absolutely gorgeous in this area. Right behind it I have a snow sickle, oak leaf hydrangea right here. Hydrangeas as a whole are not cheap. This one, the blooms are absolutely stunning come fall, and that's probably the reason why this one in particular is pretty expensive. And I wish I could dig it out and take it with me. I may still do that, we'll see. But yeah, definitely a gorgeous oak leaf hydrangea. And by the way, also are a plant that I would highly recommend for any yard, and I would also say that these are one of my top picks for hydrangeas. Right here I have some more Jscursions over here. These ones look really weathered because of the winter months, but as you can see right here, it's getting a lot of its foliage, so those will pop up and look beautiful as the season progresses. And then over here, I just have some lamium, silver beacon. I have mums that have been in this same black container that I've purchased them about 4 years ago, and they come back every year. Now, there's no way around this, okay? I'm gonna be in the picture here, but this area here is where I added some rocks. I had some silver mount here. I took that out and just kind of restructured this area. And I think this has been one of the favorites of filmings that I did, was when I first did it and then when I actually changed it a bit. So as you can see, it's doing fantastic. I have an English lavender right here that is actually being crowded by all of the daffodils, but once those die down, my English lavender is actually going to look really beautiful on its own. Right here I have a orange skipper echinacea coneflower, and I don't see that it's really doing really well. However, I do see a tint of green, so it's possible that it's just taking its time of emerging from the ground, but we'll see what happens because I did transplant that 3 times. Then right here I have a hot papaya coneflower echinacea. That one is going to be gorgeous, and it didn't get affected by the cold snap, and I am so excited because that one is absolutely gorgeous. I will pin the video right up here in the corner so that you can go catch that filming where I did this if you're curious of how I created this. But yeah, that was one of my newest coneflowers. Then right here I have a mob echinacea coneflower, which is coming. I did transplant that from a different area in this garden area, and it's doing fantastic. Right here is a Kissman's coneflower. This was one of my newest ones, and that's doing fantastic. It's coming out, as you can see from the picture, that it is going to be kind of a multicolor reddish to orange colors and blooms. Then I have over here a sweet sandia coneflower, and that is gorgeous. And yeah, so definitely love that one. And that one's gonna get pretty tall, and that's why I placed it there. But This whole area right here actually is where my spiderwort was. And I pulled it out because it really took quite a bit of this area up. And so I decided to push it further over in the corner so that it could do its thing and be free to spread out. And when I say spread out, I mean the foliage, when it comes out, come later on in springtime, when it starts getting its blooms, the foliage will expand. And so it does take up some space. So I'm really glad to see that I have my coneflowers behind it and that they are coming up, because this would probably shade it too much where it did before. And then my coneflowers didn't have a chance to emerge from the ground because the sun wasn't getting to them. So yeah, but this is a gorgeous kind of like a lilac color flower, and it is just one of the most beautiful plants that I have here. And it took the transplant, as you can see, really well, and it is doing beautiful. I don't see any of my bee balm coming up right now. I have quite a few of it over here in this direction, and then I transplanted some of it over here, right here. Let me see if I can get out of the sun. But do you see that chunk right there? That took the transplant, and it is coming up, and it's going to be beautiful. Right here I have a fuchsia. This fuchsia really got beat up by the cold snap. This particular fuchsia, and I'll put the exact name down for you here, but this one here stays in a clump. It gets about roughly 5 feet at its full maturity to about 2.5, 3 feet wide. And it stays as a clump, it doesn't spread, and it comes back every year. Now this one will bloom from old wood as well as new wood, provided that the old wood doesn't get affected by the winter months. This year, it really got affected, so I do have to cut it all off. However, as you can see right down below, right here, you can see all the new starts coming back up. So those will be this year's flowers. Right here, I have my Dassul dahlia, and I have about 3 of them over here that I actually transplanted last spring from over in this direction. Now I don't see that those are coming up at all, at least not right now. So hopefully, yeah, it is. Look at that. Look at that. It's coming up. My dahlias are coming up. Now I never take these dahlias out of the ground in zone 8B because this is a little bit protected from the overhang of the house. This tends to do fine in the ground all year round. Even with this coldest snap that we have, these are still coming up. So dahlias can be left in the ground. However, keep in mind that you will eventually have to dig them up and divide them. These ones were divided last year, so they'll be fine. But good to see that that's coming up. And then I have another Dassul that's coming up right there. Now I'm really surprised that these are coming up this early in the season, because I don't believe they did last year. But yeah, they're coming up. This Japanese maple has its foliage coming out, and this one did get affected by all the work that was being done. I have a few of the branches that got broken off, but once all that foliage comes out and it fills out this whole little tree, then you're not even going to notice those broken branches. But I was kind of saddened a little bit because I don't like when plants get damaged. But yeah, I had one major branch here. I had another branch over there that got broken. This one actually sustained also some branches that were broken at one point in its growth time because of other work that we had done. But you know, I can't fault them because it is kind of in the way. So for this to have sustained very little damage, in my opinion, with all the work that they did with the foundation, I think I'm pretty happy with the outcome of it. My daylilies right over here, you can see I'm hoping that you can see, but this have like a little hue of blue in the foliage, and I absolutely love this daylilies. These ones are very thought out for, because these ones, even though they're our daylily, they bloom all summer long. And the blooms, even though they may only last one day, but as soon as one dies, another one pops up right after. And so it's continuous bloom. And I wish I could take it with me. For that matter, I wish I could take all of my plants with me, because I absolutely love them. But that's just not something that I'm going to be able to do. But yeah, I love these daylilies. They're beautiful too in color. I mentioned before that right here is all of my bishop dahlias right here. I don't see that they're coming up yet. This area really got stomped on rather, with the foundation work, but hopefully they will come back up and off the ground, and that the weather did not affect these ones, because these ones are equally as gorgeous. And they really complement the reds on bishop dahlias. It's like a red in color, and they really complement these daylilies. And then look at how gorgeous this Brenra is. Now this is only going to get bigger and better. And I just absolutely love this Brenras. This is another one that I would highly recommend. So go get yourself some Brenras, you guys. You will not be disappointed. Then I planted my yarrow back into the ground that I had to pull out, as well as the sea lavender over here. Both of these are looking good. They're looking healthy, and they're gonna make it. They're gonna make that transplant. So if you have to move plants in the dead of winter or at the end of winter, just keep in mind that they will survive given, the right treatment. And that seaweed that I gave it to help with that transplant, as you can see, they are doing well. Right here is my butterfly shrub. I love this one. I love the color. And that's coming back. This one in particularly, I have to trim in the fall, because if I don't, the branches will flop over. Now, as this matures, the stems on them will get a lot tougher and a lot more dense, and so it will hold up, but all the new branches will still be very tender. And so for that reason, I do trim it. It's not advisable to trim it in fall. It's advisable to trim it in the spring. However, again, because I am in the Pacific Northwest in Zone 8B, I do cut it back in the fall, and it seems to come back every year. This is my other spiderwort. Look at how gorgeous that's doing, and it is in a container, and it did fantastic over the cold months. My Helleborus, as you can see, are in bloom. This is a pink frost over here. I don't know the name of this one, particularly because I've had it in this yard for many years, since I first started working this ground. Only I had it over in that direction over there, and it did fine, but it didn't do as well as it does here. Let me put it that way. This one here is a pink frost. This one is beautiful. And I do see that the foliage is coming in on that one. I have some candy tuff in this container. I keep it in a container, which actually needs soil, but I keep it in this container because candy tuff can spread out, and I just don't like the aggressiveness of how it spreads. So I prefer to have candy tuff contained. But it looks beautiful. It's great for hanging baskets as well. So keep that in mind. Have some spot-ons over here that are getting their blooms, looking gorgeous. This one's always suffer over the summer months because it gets a little bit more sun than they should. And so they tend to really get weathered down in the summer. But come spring, they come back and they look happy. And then right here I have another hosta. I think this is a blue hosta or a big daddy hosta. Now this one here, actually, I don't know what the heck that is. Oh, what is that? Huh, interesting. I'll have to plant that. Almost looks like a cedium of sorts. Huh. Anyway, yeah, this hosta here always gets beat up in the summer. I don't know. For some reason, the snails and slugs absolutely go to town on this. And no matter how much I feed it for snails and slugs, it still gets affected. As you can see, I still have quite a bit of oyster shells still around there. Now, it's really surprising that I don't have any stems in the center coming up. They're all coming out at the outer edge. This do need to be divided, but for now, it is what it is. Then right here, I have another Brenra. And then right here, I have a Pergola hydrangea. This one will get like 40 to 60 feet tall and wide. This particular one has like these tentacles on the stem, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see it. I don't see them on here. They do grow eventually, but basically why I'm pointing that out is because they have like these hairy tentacles that they cling on to like concrete or even a tree trunk, something rough like that. If you put them on a trellis like I have or in a cyclone fence like this, you do have to train it to weave around because it will not do it on its own. So just keep that in mind. But once they get established, this thing will get massive. And flowers on this Petalaris is a white cluster with little heart-shaped flowers all the way around the rim. And they're just gorgeous. So yeah, I'm excited to see this flower again this year. And then I have this one here is a China rose. This is a very, very old rose. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. This has been in the yard since the previous owners. It doesn't get the appropriate amount of sun for it to really bloom. I really need to remove it from here, and I probably will and place it in a pot. But I kept hoping that it would just climb up this cherry tree, but hasn't quite done that. Now, all the ferns in my yard that are like this, they're all western sword ferns. And these do spread from the base around, but they don't necessarily spread and create new babies everywhere, as I've been told that it does happen in other people's yards. Not in my yard. And as far as I know about western sword ferns, they are as a clump, not necessarily something that reemerges somewhere else via the rhizome. So just wanted to touch up on that. With ferns, you typically trim them in the fall, and you can cut them way down. And then you'll get the new starts, such as this one's right here. And then everything will come out fresh. I don't tend to do that. I just tend to remove any of the dead, diseased, or damaged foliage, and then I leave the rest. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention on that. Another Brenra. And then right here I have First Blush Hostas. I've had these in here for a long, long time. They're only about 12 by 24 inch tall and wide hostas. So they're kind of small. But I had two of them, so I planted them on both sides of this pillar so that I knew where they were. What I love about this First Blush, if you notice the stems, they have this red, and this little stripe will get whiter, and so it'll have this kind of a reddish tint to it. As you can see, even the stem on itself got red. Kind of reminds me of kale, you know, like winter kale. And then again, I have the first two lilies, plantain lilies, hostas that come up every spring. They're the first ones to emerge from the ground. And now, this year, for some reason, almost every hosta is starting to come up in springtime, in early springtime. Usually, the other ones, outside of these two, take about another month before they start emerging. And right now I'm seeing them all pop up from the ground. Right here, I have a whirlwind hosta. As you can see, it's coming up from the ground, or from the pot anyway. from the soil. Then right here I have an Eden hosta, which is equally coming out from the ground. And then over there I have a guacamole that is equally coming up. So yeah, all my hostas, now all three of these hostas are giant hostas, as well as that one. I have an epimedium that I thought died, but I see that it's getting its foliage, so I think it's going to do fine. This one's as you can see, a red barnwort. That one's gorgeous. I have two amethyst with steel bees that bloom these pink flowers, and there's one here. I did have another one, but apparently I didn't make it. And then I have another one right over here. I have another epimedium. I can't remember the variety of this one. If I have the tag, I'll find it. But as you can see, the foliage is out. And look at those dainty little flowers. This is the first time this has actually bloomed for me. But I've only had it here going on the second season. This is another fern. I don't know the name of this fern because I've bought it years ago. I've moved it around and it looks beat up because of the winter, but it's getting all of its new foliage as well. Let's see if I can move this around. But if you can see down there, it's getting new foliage. Once that new foliage emerges a little bit more, then I'll come and clean off anything that's dead or beat up as far as the foliage, the old foliage. And then right here I have a rainbow fizz spirea. This one actually likes the shade, damp lighting, and I don't know 100% of the variety because this has been in this yard since, it came along with the house basically, so it's that old. It just happened to be in a different part of the house, which was right around the corner over here prior to me building the large pergola. And it was there for a long time, and then I transplanted it over here many years ago, and it just does beautiful. It does require shade, so with damp lighting. And when I say shade, I don't mean like in the dark. I mean like shade as in it filtered light. And then back here I have a lily of the valley, and this one actually is not in its right position of placement, but it does get a lot of filtered light and it's doing beautifully. Obviously it blooms, so it's getting enough light. It is a spring bloomer, and this I planted over here mainly because we buried some of our beloved chickens here, and so it was just in memory of them. This plant right here is called a voodoo lily, and it grows this really beautiful, long, almost blackish, reddish flower. And it's absolutely beautiful, but it does smell like a dead carcass. I've mentioned this several times in other videos. And so because of that, whoever planted it here, because it came with the house, planted in the wrong spot. But the good thing about that is that it only smells for one day, and that's the day that it actually comes into bloom. But outside of that, it doesn't smell or anything. It does collect flies. However, flies are really good for pollinating plants, so it does serve its purpose. Hopefully I can take some of the bulbs, but we'll see, because it doesn't even bloom for another couple months, so we'll see what happens. But wouldn't mind taking one or two. I just wouldn't place it next to my home. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I will take you from this direction and then swing you back around just so you can see what everything looks like and give you a quick walkabout. I also want to mention that my wisteria right over here, which is a non-invasive wisteria, is also getting its buds, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, now you can see what my yard looks like on the first day of spring. even though it's going to start raining here.
There might be a bit of paper left under the pool of coffee. Try to remember what I wrote, and you just laugh.
Thank you so much for watching.
We better have a talk, think it might last until it's dark. When the candle lights are out, I really think